realized in hindsight that I kind of made that with a glaring architectural flaw in that I put the stoves right under the thatched roof, which I'm pretty sure is an extreme fire hazard.
Might want to have some inspectors come along and take a look at that.
And that's right next to my very nice market, so nothing quite throws your townies into a panic more like a fire going up right next to the cultural center. Also right next to my tree farm, so that could turn bad very fast.
Your town is planned brilliantly.
Oh, it is.
Fans are gonna love you.
You know, this was medieval town construction. In my civilization that I built here, they had a long history of towns appearing and disappearing for inexplicable reasons. Think fires would just come out of nowhere, and it took them and sages and scientists that pondered for years what gods were cursing them with such trials, and only in the Enlightenment age did they realize, oh, we're building thatched roofs over stoves.
Well, you know, if archaeologists and stuff are always finding these ruins out in towns and stuff are left out on the floor, and you wonder, why would you like leave all this your precious pottery and all that's just laying around? It's because they, you know, built thatched roofs in their kitchens, and then the whole town caught fire and they had to run for it. You know, that explains it. You know, and granted, you know,
this is why we build buildings completely out of stone underground. No, this is why we build down, not up.
Yeah, my town is actually pretty fireproof. I mean, most of it and the roofs are actually stone. There's only a few wooden roofs kind of stretched out, you know, so if a fire broke out, it wouldn't go very far. Now, not the same as my old town over here, because I got fireplaces everywhere with thatched roofs, so you just gotta be careful not to overheat, you know, their fireplaces and their thatched roofs. But my main city over here is pretty safe.
See, I do like what you did with Valley de la Cerveza, though. With the old town is something that I like, and I feel like a lot of people don't, and it's not like they should, but sometimes where you kind of get into the role play aspect of the town, you kind of start to think, you know, how would this town naturally progress? Well, you've got the old town where the old log cabins where the first settlers go, but usually, you know, more often than not, towns are picked in the right place, but maybe their first cabins weren't exactly in the best of places, and sometimes the town kind of moves a little bit away from where the first settlers were, and the city starts to build up. So I liked what you did with Valley de la Cerveza, where you kind of had the old historical town separated from the actual town.
Well, it's good, and you know, and that I did that, and I kind of, you know, it was that thought process that, you know, this is the old town, because that is really where they first settled. That was where I laid down the first, you know, personal rooms, and people getting eaten by tree keepers and stuff like that. But I actually didn't build their houses until like halfway through the city was being built. So kind of built it in the wrong order, but you know, I think it was the thought that counts, really.
Yes, in hindsight. all the grump. Yeah. I mean, let's be honest. With the death rate that was going on there, probably most of the settlers that were there at the beginning had probably died a horribly painful and unnatural death, to the point where there was no one left.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. So.
This town has such a bad reputation. I have empty rooms. No one will want to move in.
Yeah.
That's how bad the reputation of this town has gone.
It's fortunately I have a strong. I actually thought out my digging this time around. Before I had holes dug down to dungeons every which way, and that was a disaster. Now I just have a central shaft, and every floor that I clear out, I send the guards down to that floor, so that every new floor that's opened up, if the monsters try and come up from that, they're not going to make it outside of that floor. Because I've got a relatively good guard.
Every time.
Relatively good guard.
Yeah, every time I go to open up the next floor, I have guards stationed, like 4 guards stationed at the stairway that they're mining out, and they're like right there, you know, I can switch them over to guards, and they can run in to help somebody getting attacked, or they can, if no one gets hurt when you open it up, and all the townies get out and the heroes go in, you know, if the heroes bring anybody up, you know, they're right there to stop them.
And guards kick butt, man. I mean, the heroes, you know, they kind of show up and they do their thing, but, you know, I get, like, hordes of... Right now, I've only got Spiderite armor and iron swords, but I get hordes of Goblinite Kaisers trying to come up, and my guards make pretty short work of them.
Yeah, they do pretty good. I mean, you know, you might lose a guard or two here and there, because individually they are pretty weak, but, you know, together, you know, you actually turn them into a fighting force, they actually do pretty well, so it's not something to, you know, just to disregard as, you know, just some useless feature. I mean, it actually does come in handy.
I also do find, like, some people like to, early on, like to arm all of their citizens, which is something I've done here and there, but I found that I started to not like it because I felt like in actual town, people just don't wear suits of armor and carry weapons everywhere. Well, certain weapons, but they don't. Not everybody walks around with suits of armor and stuff. Especially when you get to the high levels of townies, it starts to become a pain to micromanage everybody. So, because you don't want to hit auto-equip, so you kind of have to micromanage everyone into getting equipment. So I leave a lot of my townies unequipped, but I like to have about like 8 or 10 townies with just some either hodgepodge armor or some armor I made that's not as good as what the guards have, but I kind of make them into a militia, so anytime things go south, I can switch them over to a soldier, and then they can join in the defense with the regular guard force. But in peacetime, they get to be the reserves, so they get to go back to work and keeping our town, beautiful town, nice and efficient.
See, I take the approach, when I do start off, I do like to give all my townies armor and weapons, you know, my initial 11, only because they've got to deal with the froggies. If you do a snow map, it's absolutely necessary that you equip your townies as soon as possible, because the Yetis will absolutely kick their butt. Yetis are no small task to defeat. A single Yeti can wipe out your entire group if they all try to take them all one by one. They're absolutely beast. I haven't really done desert maps, so I don't know how strong those mobs are, but I hear, you know, there's nothing to laugh at it either. So for my initial people, they're like the initial settlers. I think of them like your town kind of events through the ages. They're the initial settlers. They have to be armored. They have to be weaponized, just to survive the wild, because it's a brand new land. You know, everything is new. It wants to kill them and eat them for supper. So, you know, they're like that. But then as your